out of state, shaking my lap, she seeking forgiveness. She used to dance, but she went alone and started a business. Her daddy is not around, her mama is not around. I watch her climb to the top of the pole and then get sliding down. I make it rain in this bitch, I make it snow in this bitch. She tryna get out of the mix.
Getting money like
Alrighty everyone, welcome back to another video. We are doing a textured, hybrid, wet, strip lash effect lashes. This really complements this client's eyes. We really like a textured set for her. She really likes that strip lash mimic to her eyes as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We still have some lashes on, which is fine. I'm not too worried about it because the fans are kind of closed, which and thus is going to create like that texture that we like. So that's totally fine. So what I'm going to be doing is using a CC Curl Veyes Premium Eyelashes. Let me zoom out real quick. We're going to be using the Veyes Premium Lashes for the top layer, and then on the bottom layer, for our bottom layer, we are going to be using these Veyes, I'm sorry, it's gonna feel weird. These Veyes pre-made volume fans. So these are the 10D volume fans in 0.07D mix, obviously. And these are gonna go at her bottom layer because we want to create that texture and that density. Not only that, it's gonna actually help us speed up our set since we are using pre-made fans. Because I don't know if you guys watched my other video, but I'll link it down below of my pre-made fan set that I did, but they lasted a very long time. I really like the way they worked. I like the way they kept their curls. So I'm gonna continue to use them because why not? You know, we're doing a set today. We don't want to be here all day because strip lash effect lashes for me take a very long time to do, and it kind of gets a little overwhelming. So just having that little bit of extra help is really going to go a long way. And I'm sorry if you guys can hear the AC in the background. I might have to do a voiceover because of this. If not, oh well. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and shake up our glue. So as always, I didn't record this, but we used our gel patches from Veyes, our Next Care Sensitive Skin Tape, and then obviously we're going in with our Veyes Extended Retention Glue. What's new, you guys already know that I'm always using this glue and it's my holy grail. And then again, going in with premium lashes. So we are going to be doing more of a longer set. So I'm going to be doing lengths 10 all the way up through 18 and a little bit of 19s for the spikes. So yeah, I'm also gonna map out so you guys can see exactly where I'm placing my spikes at. I do use about 3 spikes right next to each other to really create that texture. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. So let's go ahead and measure out. So first of all, I wanna find my center points on my client. I'm gonna have you turn your head just a little bit, which is kind of lining up to the brow bone area. So like about here. So about there. Same thing here. Turn your head this way for me. Just about peaks right here. Okay, so that's gonna be one, that's our half point. So now we're gonna go ahead and put point next to each other. So I'm just gonna just do this. And this is where we want our spikes. There we go. Okay. Not gonna go ahead and like map out because I'm just showing you, oops, just showing you guys where I want my spikes to be. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in now. All right, we're nice and closed in. Okay, so what I'm gonna start to do is place my long lengths on our marked area. So obviously we are gonna be using our longest length, which is 19 for our spikes. And we're gonna go ahead and grab a decent amount of lashes just like that and place our spikes at that top layer. Every time you're placing down spikes, you always wanna go at the top layer, never the bottom layer or the middle layer. I mean, depending on how many spikes that you put, because like I said, I'll put like at least 3 right next to each other. So I might put one to the side at the bottom layer. But for now, we're just gonna go in and go exactly where I marked out. All right. Again, looking for that top layer. Placing it down. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in and put our spikes exactly where I go ahead and mapped out on her right eye and then on her left eye, and when they'll jump back on so that we can apply a little bit more. Okay, so I already went ahead and did the spikes on this, on her left eye already off camera. So now I'm just gonna go in and fill the spikes on this one. So I already did the first 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and find the other lashes for this one. So again, just going right next to that already spike that we have, placing one spike down, you will be noticeable if you're doing a softer set, but since we are going for something a little bit more fuller and more texturized, we really want those spikes to stand out. So that's why I'm gonna place at least 2 to 3 spikes next to each other so that those spikes really stand out. So when she opens her eyes, you can really see them. Spikes are meant to be very noticeable. They're supposed to be at least, what I like to do is at least go at least 4 to 3 lengths longer than what my base layer is gonna be. So I'm doing 19 so that I can go ahead and do like 15s or even 14s and 13s on our base layers to really create that density and that texture. When I am going into the inner corner though, I am dropping, so I am using 19, so I'm dropping down to 17s. So it's going to be 17 or 16, 17, 19, 19, 19, 19, okay? There's one.
That we don't like to mention, and the things that keep me up, they made me who I am, yeah. So I can never sit back, say that I regret it. Every ounce of pain I felt became a lesson. More than just a woman, I'm more than just a person. I got all these dimensions.
Okay. All right, and as you guys can already start to see the texture peeping through. I love that. I feel like it just soothes my soul. I love the texture. All right, so now I'm gonna go in and fan the lashes dry for about like a couple of seconds. That way I can go ahead and use the tape to pull back those lashes so that I can now work on my second and third layer.
Brought me many realizations. 20 taught me never be complacent. I've got 20 years and I'm still changing. I've lived 20 lives that needed saving. So I got all these layers stacking out like Tetris. The best of who I am cannot be seen in metrics. More than meets the eye or meets imagination. Yeah.
All right. So that's pretty decently dry. So a couple of seconds. Let's go ahead and brush them through. Make sure we have no stickies. Yeah, we're good. And as you can already see that those spikes are already popping through. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna work in my outer corner first. Just because that's what, actually no, let's start in the inner corner first. That's what I'm in the mood for. So I'm gonna just Use that tape, pull back her eyelashes just a little bit. There we go. So now I can start working in the inner corner. There is a little bit of a gap right here, but I'm not too worried about it because there is no white being exposed, so that's okay. Go ahead and scoot up just a little bit more. Right there, perfect. Okay. So we are going to start using our 10s in the inner corner. So what I'm going to do is always in the first 2 to 3 eyelashes, I will go ahead and place down just like wet set fans, which is closed fans, because I really want this to be, like I said, a very textured set. Okay, so I did use 10s in the inner corner, so I'm gonna jump up to 12. Again, you want to create texture, so you want to be able to use different lengths in different areas. So it's really hard to explain how to do something in this particular manner because you just have to be kind of more artistic when it comes to sets like this. So the way I like to do it is whatever length that I'm using, if I want something to stand out, I will go up 2 lengths, if that makes sense. So I use 10s in the inner corner, so now I'm jumping up to 12 so that this lash actually stands out next to the 10 and creates that texture. Again, probably didn't make sense, but bear with me. You just have to be creative and just have to have a keen eye on where you need to place a certain length and a certain type of extension. So again, I'm doing a textured wet set, strip lash, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to be just randomly placing fans or closed fans or even spikes where I feel like it is necessary for me to do so. So right now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna put a fan down because we put already a couple of spikes. There we go. I jumped up to 12. I'm gonna go back down to a 10. We're gonna create a soft fan.
That we don't like to mention, and the things that keep me up, they make me who I am, yeah. So I can never sit back, say that I regret it. Every ounce of pain I felt became a lesson. More than just a woman, I'm more than just a person. I got all these dimensions. Whoa, 'cause I'm more than any judgment. Brought me many realizations. 20 taught me never be complacent. I've got 20 years and I'm still changing. I've lived 20 lives that needed saving. So I got all these layers stacking out like Tetris. The depths of who I am cannot be seen in metrics.
Okay.
More than meets the eye or meets imagination. was on my own, had to find a home up in myself. Plant a seed and grow where I stood, cause I ain't have a shelf. And it's hard to understand when you don't know my roots. Yeah, it's hard to understand when you don't know the truth. Cause we all got some shit that we don't like to mention. And the things that keep me up, they made me who I am, yeah. So I can never sit back, say that I regret it. Every ounce of pain I felt became a more than just a woman. I'm more than just a person. I got all these dimensions. Whoa, 'cause I'm more than any judgment. I'm more than who I was, yeah. I got all these dimensions. Whoa. Brought me many realizations. 20 taught me never be complacent. I've got 20 years and I'm still changing. I've lived 20 lives that needed saving. So I got all these layers stacking up like Tetris. The depths of who I am cannot be seen in metrics. More than meets the eye or meets imagination. Cause I'm more than just a woman. I'm more than just a person. I got all these dimensions. Whoa.
Okay, turn here. Okay, so I've completed my inner corner, went ahead and put the lashes where I felt like they were necessary to go. So now what I'm gonna do is not tape yet, but what I'm gonna go ahead and do is find that top layer and start lashing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start putting narrow fans on my top layer, and I'm going to use lengths 14, and then in my middle layer I'm going to use 13, and like I said, in that bottom layer we're going to use those decurl lashes, but we're not going to do that just yet. I'll hop back on when we do that, but just so you guys are aware of right now, what we're going to be going ahead and doing is exactly an example right here. Here's the top layer. I'm going to go ahead and put a closed narrow fan, and what I mean by that is I'll show you real quick. Is this base is very narrow. It's not a wide fan at all. I don't know if you guys can kind of see because that black line's right there. There you go. As you can see, it's very skinny at the base, very narrow, and then towards the top it bouquets out. So that's what we're going to continue to do on the top layer to all of the top layer of lashes. Again, we're using 14 millimeters CC curl, and we're just going to go ahead and apply those narrow fans all to the top layer. I'll probably speed this up so that you guys can see, and then when we go into our middle and final layer, I'll go ahead and jump back on. Alrighty, we are back. So we are now gonna go ahead and apply our pre-made fans to our bottom layer. I'm going to be mixing lengths 12, 13, and 14. And we're just gonna go ahead and put them sporadically. Again, these type of sets are all about having an artistic eye and placing those lengths where you feel like it's necessary to do so. If you see a longer length of a natural lash, I would put a longer length there. You see a shorter one, you put a shorter length, and so on and so forth. So the key to using these is to use a little bit more extra glue than normal, but not too much glue to the point where you are going to obviously clog a pore, just enough to get a proper bond. So again, this is also going to speed up our time with our lashes. I think this is always great to have, especially when you're on like your third or fourth client and you're starting to feel that burnout. Like I do half the time. Having pre-made fans or even making your own handmade fans to use on a client really does help speed up your time. If you have the time to sit there and, you know, make some, or, you know, just having a couple of trays just for days, like I said, when you're feeling a little too tired. Maybe you have 5 to 6 clients that day, you know, you have something to go ahead and fall back on. So again, I'm applying my 14 lengths on my longest natural lashes, and then I'll go ahead and put my 13s on my shorter lengths, and the 12s are going to go more towards the inner corners. And as you can see, my speed within the video already. And I still like to go in and do like a little bit of a wiggle motion as if it was a handmade fan, because as you guys know, if you're using handmade fans, the best way to get the best retention is to wrap that extension around that natural lash. So with these ones, I feel like when I do that little wiggle technique, it will kind of undo the glue that's already packaged with the pre-made fans. So I mean, I don't know if it really works or not. For me it does. I feel like that's how I've been able to make them last longer, is really trying to wrap the extension around the natural lash. Because if you were to pull this pre-made fan apart, it would pull apart very nicely. So I would say that dipping it in the glue kind of loosens up that extension so that you're kind of actually able to wrap it around that natural lash, thus creating a better retention, a greater bond, so on and so forth. Brought me many realizations.
20 taught me never be complacent. I've got 20 years and I'm still changing. I've lived 20 lives that needed saving. So I got all these layers stacking up like Tetris. The depths of who I am cannot be seen in metrics. More than meets the eye or meets imagination. Yeah. Cause I'm more than just a woman. I'm more than just a person. I got all these dimensions. From the go, I was on my own. Had to find a home up in myself. Plant a seed and grow where I stood, cause I ain't have a shelf. And it's hard to understand when you